Okay, so what we'll do today, if you remember in our first class, right, when we discussed about the DevOps and DevOps flow. So today, what we are going to do here, like we'll just write a simple code here, and then we'll push that code to the GitHub and set up these things in the Jenkins. And once Jenkins is built, the artifacts, and we are going to store the artifacts on S3. Okay, so here I'm going to write S3, so that will be stored on S3. Now, what I'm going to do, after it is stored in the S3, it will be pulled by Ansible, and then Ansible will deploy the artifact into the staging environment. So now here the fully automations will be happened. We don't have to involved here. So there will be no build engineer, no DevOps, no deployment engineer will be there to do that. So everything will be done automatically. It will come from the developer to the Jenkins, GitHub to Jenkins, again artifacts, the artifactory, and then it will come to Ansible, then it will be deployed. So this entire part will do it today. And in the next class, once we cover Docker and Kubernetes, that we'll cover in the Kubernetes. Again, we'll do the final project with Kubernetes, how we deploy using the Kubernetes orchestration platform. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so for that, what I have done actually, let me just open the things what we're going to cover today. Let me first show you on the Jenkins side what setup we need to require in the Jenkins. Okay, as you remember, the project is under this DevOps wave, okay, on my GitHub repositories. You can just clone this one, and I've written all the required details. Everything is there, and you can find the Jenkins file here, right? This is the Jenkins file, okay, to deploy it. Okay, so for that, what we need to do, we need to set up. Okay, this is the GitHub side where the developer has kept the project. The code is stored under this, and the DevOps engineer, as a DevOps engineer, you have to set up, you have to write the pipeline code, and the pipeline code is written here. The same thing I'm going to show you in the Jenkins. Okay, once you write this pipeline code, I'll show you how to write this one. You already mastered this. I'm not going to show you more, but I'll show you what is being written here. Okay, and after that, what we are going to do, we are going to simply set up a job. Okay, now let me do from the scratch, from the starting. Okay, so as we are going to do the S3 bucket as our artifactory. So what we have to do first, you have to create a bucket. You know very well how to create a bucket. Okay, so I have created a bucket called devopsweb.ansible. The bucket name is devopsweb.ansible, where I'm going to load my artifacts, the binaries. You can see the binaries being loaded here. I'm going to get the new binary and load it over here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let's first you have to create a bucket. The first thing is you have to create a bucket and give the required permission. Okay, and once it is created, what you have to do, you need to set up the profiles for S3. Okay, so guys, can you answer me how we can install the plugins? What is the flow? Where we have to go and then install the new plugins? Suppose I just want to use S3, AWS S3. So how I can do that plugins installations?
Need to go to manage Jenkins.
Yes. And then manage plugins.
Manage plugins.
So here we can search for S3. Okay.
S3.
Okay, the plugin name is S3 Publisher. Okay, S3 Publisher. S3 Publisher. Okay, so you can see here S3 Publisher is there, right? S3 Publisher. So similarly, you have to also select the S3 Publisher and install on your Jenkins. So once you install this S3 Publisher, you will find one option, one tab inside your, go again manage Jenkins. first you have to install the plugins. Okay, once you install the plugins, go to configure system. Okay, so in this configure system you have to configure the S3 artifacts. Okay, so what you are going to do that, one second. Okay, so in S3 configure we will get one section. It's called S3 upload. Okay, one second, go down, you'll find AWS setups, git login. Okay, you can find one called Imagine S3 profiles. Okay, so here you have to create a profile name. I had already showed you in our last to last classes in the Jenkins and S3, right? So you have to create a profile. So I have created a profile name called as S3 hyphen artifacts. Okay, so once you install the plugins, you'll find this Amazon S3 profile section over here, and then you have to just add this S3 profile and give a profile name. And you know how to get this access key and user ID and access key, right? So where I can get this access key and access ID and access key?
IAM.
Yes. So you have to create a new user in the IAM and get the access key ID and then access key. Okay, access ID and the access key. So once you get this, you have to set up this access key over here. Okay. So I already have added this, and no, if you want to do the change passwords, you can do the change passwords here. Okay. So you can add it. Also, you can use this use IAM role. Select this use IAM role and just save it. Okay, and you have to create one IAM role on the IAM sections. Okay, so once you do the profile setups, manage Jenkins, go to configure systems and do the Amazon S3 profiles. Then what we have to do, we have to create a simple job. So just understand the flow and understand the requirement. So what we are going to get it, the requirement is, suppose the requirement is to build a project and store the artifacts into the artifactory. That is the flow what I showed you, right? Artifactory. After that, that has to be pulled by the
Applied into.
playbook, yes, by the Ansible playbook, and then it will be executed on the targeted machine, on the node machine. Okay, so the first requirement is the CI side is to build the project and upload the artifacts into the artifactory. So what we have to do for that, so we have to just go and create a new item, just go to that. So I'll show you that here. Let me first explain all this, then I'll show you the demo. Okay, so what we are going to do that fast, I have just created a freestyle, sorry, pipeline job. This is a pipeline project. Okay, and as you know, we have to use the repository where the project available. So our project is under this GitHub, right? So this is the project, DevOps Web. So this is the project, and all the source required Java files and everything is there in this, right? All this Java files, everything is available here. So we need this to be built. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we have to give the source code management as Git, and then DevOps web.git, and the branch, which branch you are going to build. You already know the branch, the particular branch. If you want to build, you can just select it here. I am going to build the master branch, so I have given the master branch. If you have a specific branch to build, then you can provide it over here. Okay, and then build trigger, here I have used GitHub hook trigger for the git sm polling, but let me just unselect it. You know very well what is this GitHub hook trigger and how you need to set up. If you don't remember, guys, I would request you just go and try to do again this GitHub hook. You may get questions in the interviews also. Okay, also if you do practice, you will get the complete flow of get work week and how it automatically, see, once the DevOps engineer do all kind of POC and all DevOps setups is done, then everything will be, it should be done automatically. That means once the developer has done some changes to the code, it should automatically trigger the build. It should be automatically trigger the build. You don't have to manually do that. Okay, that's why you have to select this bit of hook trigger to do that. So I'm going to build it manually, so I'm not selecting anything here. Now what I'm going to do, the build sections, right? The build section, this local, I'm going to package this one by using the Maven tool. So I have selected over here. After that, after build, what is our target? What is the goal to do that? Our goal is to, in the post build section, after build happens, in the post build section, what we are going to do it, we are going to upload the artifact, right? In the post build actions, you have to just select in the post build actions. Let me just go to that, the add post build actions. You'll find one, publish artifacts to S3 bucket. So how it will be there, once you install the S3 publisher plugin, you'll get this option. Before that, you will not find this option. Okay, so once you install that plugin, you'll get publish artifacts to S3 bucket. Okay, so once you select this page will come, these sections, and here you remember this S3 profile, S3 artifacts. Okay, this S3 artifact will automatically be drop down list. It will come once you added into the system configurations. Before that, I showed you how to add in the system configuration. So this profile you have to select, and then files to upload. What file do you need to upload? So we are targeting on the only the artifacts or the binary files, right? So we are interested in this war file to be uploaded into the artifacts. So once it is uploaded, you can give what path you need to exclude and all, and you have to provide the destination bucket. So this is the bucket where I'm going to upload the artifacts. Okay, after that, what we are going to do, so the standard storage, like what kind of storage class, you know very well, the storage class under S3, right? You have to select. So here I have selected the standard, and the bucket region, remember the bucket region, you have to select it. So mine is in Mumbai region, so I have selected app south hyphen 1. The Mumbai region is selected now. So this is simple, guys. Only the role you have to select and the file to upload, and the target destination bucket is simple, and it shows everything what you have to do. Bucket region, once it is done, that's all. Okay, no other things has to be done. Now what I have done here, so this build other project, I don't need now suppose. Okay, what is this build other project, guys? Can anybody tell me, with respect to Jenkins, why I have added this, and in which term it will come?
Suppose if you are having like a testing project and a development project, something like that. Once a build is successful
Mhm.
and we had to run another project after this post build successful, then we need to use this terminology, build other projects based on our completion of one project. We need to run another project.
Exactly. So if your project, whatever you are just building now, if it has a dependency that once this project is over, this build is done, you need to trigger another build or another job, another project, then you have to select this build other projects. You can get it here, build other projects, and then which project you need to build. Before that, you should have created the project in the Jenkins. Okay, Jenkins deploy Ansible remote, I have what is this project? So our requirement is to first, this job is to done the complete CI part. Okay, it just continuously integrated and generated the artifacts and uploaded into the artifactory. That's done. After the artifactory, here what I'm going to do, I'm going to invoke the Ansible part. I'm going to invoke the Ansible part, which will deploy the product, the application in the targeted machine, right? So let's see what is this job contains. This is the Ansible part. Okay, now one second. So if you can see here, if you remember the upstream and downstream, that is a concept in Jenkins. You may get questions how to set up the upstream and downstream job, and you may get a question in a twisted way. They may ask you questions like, if you want another job to be triggered, and what you need to do, and what kind of setups you need to be required in the Jenkins. You can say like we can set up the upstream and downstream project based on the requirements, right? So here, if you see the downstream job, the downstream is nothing but our the job. Once the upstream is success, it will be triggered this job. Okay, so I have opened this downstream job. Let me just close this. Right click on the runtime. So if you see this downstream job, you can see here when I opened the downstream job, it says me it has the upstream job as well. So this is the upstream project, Jenkins Java S3. This is the upstream project, and this one is the, and this upstream project has a downstream project. So let's see the downstream, what is, how it is being set up. If you go to the configure page, so this part is the deployment part, CD part, right? So using Ansible, we are going to deploy, configure the system and then deploy it. So the configuring the system, what we are going to do here, we don't need source code management, because source code management is already been taken care in the upstream job, which is going to build. So our source code is not required because nothing is there. So what we are going to do here again, now, the build trigger is not, because not going to trigger, but it will automatically triggered by the upstream job. Okay. Now the build section. In the build section, we have to use one options called Invoke Ansible Playbook. Again, in this case, what you have to do, you have to install another plugin related to Ansible. Okay. So let me show you that plugin. So two plugins, guys, you need to install S3 Publisher, and another plugin is the Ansible Playbook. One plugin will be there. Okay, so let me just go to the dashboard, manage Jenkins, use plugins. Okay, so you can select this Ansible plugin. You can select this Ansible plugins. Okay, so it will give you this option, Invoke Ansible Playbook. So once you get this Invoke Ansible Playbook, so you have to provide the path. It says playbook path. So where your playbook is available, you want to execute it. Okay, so you have to provide the playbook path here. So now the inventory. So it says like the inventory. Why it, what it says, do not specify inventory. If, okay, guys, can anybody tell me, do not specify inventory means, and what is this file or host list? Do not specify inventory means, if you don't specify inventory by default, which path it will select, guys? Can anybody tell? If you don't specify any inventory, I had already told you, if you have any inventory file in a different location, I know I told you how to execute that, right? You can keep the inventory in a different path and you can execute also. In this case, if you don't specify inventory, then it will take the default inventory path. So default inventory path is,
etc Ansible
exactly, so it
host.
Ansible and hosts. So that is the default path. So if you don't specify any inventory, by default it would take that inventory. But here I have selected file or host list. So in this location, I have kept my inventory called home CentOS Jenkins Ansible one folder, and in this folder I have created one host path, a host inventory file, and this path I have kept my inventory. Okay, that is simple. Just give the playbook, which playbook you want to execute it, and the inventory. The inventory contains the host details, right? The host names, the node names, and the targeted machine details.
That private host IP were
Yeah, all
placed in that host.
host path. That is the inventory. Okay, so now what are we going to do here? Okay, that's all. It's simple only. Select this and invoke Ansible playbook. Okay, and then deploy and all this. You have to rewrite the YAML files, and you what are the YAML files you have to execute. You have to specify the Ansible playbook path, and then inventory is required. After that, that's all. Nothing much you have to. Okay, so once it is done, that's all. Just save it. It will be done. What will happen once this will be executed? It will log into the server automatically. It connect to the server based on the inventory setup and then execute this playbook. Okay, now let me show you the playbooks and how it what is the playbook, because that is the most important things. Now we are going to discuss the entire playbooks. Okay, good. So here I have written it here, and also I had discussed all these playbooks in our last class based on the dependencies and all. Okay, so as we are going to use AWS plugin in Ansible, you know how to get this AWS plugins and which path you are going to get it, right? Go to the AWS module sections of Ansible. Okay, and there you'll find, so what we are going to use, I'm going to use a plugin called S3 bucket, S3 AWS S3 codes. Okay, so if you see here, I have used plugin called AWS underscore S3, AWS underscore S3. Okay, now let's go to that, or you can search it over if you don't find, you know, how to search it, right? AWS underscore S3. Search it over here, and you'll find lots of informations about this AWS S3. See, I'm going to use this plugin amazon.aws.aws underscore S3. Okay, so what is this? Manage objects in the S3. And what you have to know before using this, you have to install, and you have to make sure that the required prerequisites should be there is some prerequisites, like you have to install some tools and subcharts to make it run. Okay, so they have given the requirements. These are the requirements to use this plugin. Okay, now what we are going to do, and here actually these are the parameters. What are the parameters? The bucket and all, everything I have already told you in our last class. Okay, so I'm not going to cover all this again. So what we are going to do here, let me just explain this playbook more. Okay, so here what I'm going to do here in the sections, I have written like one web one, and one thing install Java. Okay, what is this? Deploy app.yaml. That this is what is going to be executed. Okay, deploy app.yaml file, and once this, what is going to do? It's first we need the because this is a Java application, and we need to install the Java first. After the Java is installed, we have to install the Tomcat server, because we need a web server to run our web application, because this is the one web applications. So this part already I have covered, and we are going to create symlink using the file module, command module. See, lots of modules being used in this one. Okay, after that we have installed the prerequisites, like for Python, because this AWS S3 module is required Python to be, execute this playbook and to execute these modules. Okay, so we need the Python 3 hyphen pif. This is the module name, which this is the package name which is required to install the Python related subcharts and tools. Okay, so here what I've done here, actually, by using the loops, we have anyway I have just given a 1 3 that boto 3 one software needs to be installed. Okay, so what is that? If you see the required requirements here, you can see here boto 3. Okay, boto core and boto 3, any one is required. Boto 3, either boto core. Okay, so this, when you install this boto 3, it will install boto core by default. Okay, so we don't need boto code again. What I'm going to do now, once you install this boto 3, what you have to do, I have to again going to use the AWS underscore S3 module. Okay, so this module will be like the bucket parameters is there, and then the object, what object you are going to use, then destination the what is this destination, the Tomcat server destination where you are going to upload the or deploy the artifacts. Okay, deploy the binary. Okay, and here I have used the get method. Like here I'm just going to download it from S3 bucket and deploy into the Tomcat web server. After that, I'm just simply starting the Tomcat service. Okay, that is simple project. Okay, very simple, but end to end everything is there. Okay, now
Ranjit here. Can you explain extract archive?
which one? Which one?
Extract archive part.
Okay, extract. Okay. Yeah. So what happened here? Let me just tell you. What is this? First thing is we are downloading the Tomcat. So as you know, Tomcat when we download, it is a .tar.gz. It's a tar archive file. Okay, archive file. By using the get URL module, we are downloading that. After that, what we have to do? We have to on archive that, right? We have to extract the archive file, then we'll create, once you extract that on everything, it will be normal folder, then you have to rename it. So by using this command module, I'm just written one ch directory, that's a command. Using this module, I'm using the parameter based on the command module, using this parameter. Okay, so users there where the path where the file will be downloaded, bin tar, this is the command tar file. Normal Unix command tar -xvf you have to give to extract a file, right, to unarchive a file. This is the Unix command being used, tar xvf to extract, and this is the path where the file is, right there. So this is the file, if you see here, this is the file is going to download, and it will be under opt. Okay, so once it is downloaded under this, it will be, now what is going to do is going to, this path
Copy.
going to be extracted and kept under opt with this name. You can directly give a name to Tomcat, that will be also good, but here in another section I have shown you to rename that file. Okay, so what is we are doing it here? Once it is created, extracted, the next line we have created one symbolic link file. By using the file module, I've created the source and the path state is the link. This is the path. Under user share, I have created a folder called Tomcat. Okay, and then
Okay,
changing
correct.
the
I think
ownership. Got it, right?
I just doubt, doubt in bin tar. Normally we used to mention tar, but here
Yeah,
it's
here we
mentioned bin tar. That is the
can,
confuse I got.
okay. So we can either use star, that's
And yeah, here we have mentioned install dependencies name item, but where did we mention what are the dependencies we need to make? Like, oh,
dependencies, like dependencies is the nothing but the requirements of this file. So here I had in last class, right, I had shown you to install this boto core, right? So this
yeah,
boto core is not required, that's why I had removed this boto core.
okay, because we are using only
Yeah,
one
so
thing,
yeah.
but we have used item. That is the confuse.
Okay. Now, because why this is also a demo of the for loop, right? So that's why I have combined everything and put in together in one YAML file, so that everything, all these informations will get in one file itself. Okay. Let me add this boto code also, but it will fail. Okay. But let it be there. Boto code. Okay. Now what happened? Boto 3 and Boto code, two items need to be installed. So install dependencies. So once you install these dependencies, then you have to download the file, because before executing this module, the dependencies should be installed. That's why in the task, in the play, I added a play. It's called install dependencies. This is the play I added here. This will be played first, and then this one will be executed. Because if you don't add this one before this, then it will fail, because the required dependencies are not there, and this module will not be executed. Okay, so once it is done, it will restart the service. Okay, now this is the project, end-to-end project. But here one thing we are not going to cover in this project is the roles and the Ansible vault. So there is another project I have for related to Ansible. One second. Related to Ansible what you say, related to Ansible's vaults and rows. That also I'll show you today. So let me first complete this end-to-end project, Ansible's, and this vault and details I'll show you in another few minutes. Okay, now let's go ahead and execute that one. So before executions, what we need? We need few setups. What are other setups? We have to change our
Right.
inventory, right? Because inventory,
Inventory.
yeah. So now let me just go ahead. So here we have the inventory, and let me, so what is the, I was just explaining this deploy app.yaml that is here. Okay, okay, so this is what we are going to execute. I have commented this file few lines. Let me uncomment that. Okay, my previous classes I had okay. So if you see here, I have commented this task and this place, because this was already installed. So the task and play which are already installed, if you don't want to do that, you can just uncomment that. Sometimes what will happen, it will override the things. Okay, sorry, it will just play the it will fail the task. Okay, because it will say some dependencies are there or not, so it will fail. For this case, what I'm going to do, let me just uncomment this. So install python 3 is there. So let me just, it was taking some time to install, so I have commented this. Okay, so here boto 3 is there, so let it be there only, boto 3. Okay, now save it. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to change the inventory. Okay, so here we have, see, again, the variables whatever I have saved it in the inventory, you can save as all underscore vats, and these vats, the variables will be available for all the servers. Okay, here the Ansible connections we have given as SSH and Ansible Python interpreter. So remember guys, if you have, see, let me just go through this, and if I see Python, this is okay. So this is guys actually one of my Oracle cloud. Okay, one second. This is my Oracle Cloud. Actually, I have created a machine in this Oracle Cloud so that, see, I have one machine, virtual machine I showed you from Ansible. So different machines I'm using now, not in the same AWS. Okay. So the node machine I'm going to use as the Oracle Cloud is a different instance. Okay. Okay. I just connected to the cloud. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here, so it's done. Now, let me just paste the web server, and here I'm again I've created one alias called web1 and Ansible, you know how to do that. So let me change the IP address here. Okay, my IP address now changed. So let's save it. So you know very well, right? Once you do some changes, you can just use the ping to do a ping test, right? Make sure whether it is working or not. So let me just go dot etc ansible. Here also I'm going to add it and do the tests. Okay, so what is the command? Ansible hyphen m ping module, and then you can give suppose web servers. Good. So it is able to ping pong, right? It is success. It is now
Yeah.
success. Okay. Now, so Ansible facts it is getting is gathering is called discovered interpreter Python. I'm here using this default interpreter Python is user bin Python, but in our Ansible playbook, what we have given in the host, right, and the real path, right? What is the path? CD home CentOS, right, and okay. So here I have added interpreter
Yeah.
Python 3, right? So now this inventory has a different path, right? So how we can use this inventory? Let me just show you. Ansible hyphen m ping, and suppose it is web1, right? Okay. So what it says, no hosts matched, no host match. So what we have to give, we have to path this path, entire path. Okay. Now, if you see here, we have this hosts. Okay. Now I'm going to do what? Just simply rewrite it using hyphen I, and you have to pass the path and host. This is got it. Hit enter. See,
Yeah.
got it. This is the way you have to pass the inventory. And if you don't want to do that manually, can anybody tell, if you don't want to pass this through the command line, how we can just change it? Can anybody tell? This is the question actually, interview question, where you have to change the post. This is an interview question, guys.
In plugin, you have to give in, or in Playbook, you have to write and integrate it to.
No, no, no. This is very basic and basic.
CFG,
Exactly.
and the CFG file.
Yes. The Ansible configurations
Hmm.
file, you have to configure it. Okay. You have to configure in the Ansible. So where it is etc Ansible, if you go this path, you'll find one ansible.cfg configuration file, right? This is where
Hmm.
you have to configure this host and make sure this matches everything. After that, you don't have to use this in the command line. Okay, let me show
Hmm.
you. So what I'm going to do here, vi, and we'll just change it. This is, guys, that's why I told you, always do practice. If you don't practice and this basic things, if you forget, then it will be bad impression. You'll get it. You don't know how to change and how to change all this, right? So just remember all this. Now I'm going to modify this configurations file. If you go to the host section, right, in the beginning itself it is there. See the inventory, default inventory, see default values. The default inventory is etc Ansible host. If I want to use a separate Ansible, a separate inventory, so I have to just what, let me comment this one and create an, sorry. Okay, so you have to write inventory, pass the inventory here. Okay, pass the path of the inventory. Now save it. Okay, so what we can do now, if I execute this same ping again without this, it will work. See, see, by default now it is taking this path, this inventory file. Okay, now you understood clearly how to do that. Okay, now let's come to our project to execute the project. Now you understood the entire Jenkins setup as well as the Ansible playbooks, also how to set up the inventory and the configuration files by using the dynamic inventory or by using the separate inventory, different inventory file, how you do setups, right? Now what we are going to do, let's execute
So
the
Ranjit, here you have already added your Oracle public RSA here, right?
Uh, that is, yes, that is the basic part. So that is already I have added. So if you want to see it, let me show you. Guys, as you know, the authentication between master and node should be done first, right? So I already have set up the public key of my AWS machine to the Oracle machine. Okay, it is simple thing like in it.
Hmm.
Whenever you create two machines, if you want to connect it by using SSH key, you can you have to share the public key of that machine to the another machine, then you can connect from that, right? So here also I have done the same thing. Okay, if I go, so this public key, I have one public key, right? So this public key I have already shared under this Oracle machine. Okay, so it will be under root.ssh. Now in this authorized key I have already added it. Okay, so this is the key I already have added. Okay, this is the key already added. That's why I am able to do the ping from this master machine. That's why I am able to do this ping from the master machine. Okay, now the connectivity should be, anyway, that is the first and basic first initial steps you have to do that. Once it is done, we can now execute it. Okay, so let's see. The project name is Java S3 and I'm going to exit. See, we'll get lots of failure now. We'll get lots of failure and we have to fix it. Okay, better we'll get the failures, otherwise you will not understand and not able to focus on the troubleshooting part. I always expect to be failed first, then we'll fix it. Now, okay, let's start it. Okay, what I have to do? Simply build it. Okay, now build it, then I'll show you first just for testing. I'm just building it now, then we'll change the code in the GitHub. From the development side, we'll see I'll change the code, push into the GitHub, and from there just build the Jenkins. Okay, let's start build now. My new build has started. Let's see. Good. It is just copying everything and trying to build it. It says unstable. Okay. Why it says unstable? So build is success. Okay. It has built the project and it has created the var file also. DevOps.r. Okay. Now this is the workspace and where the var file is generated. Now we have to fix this problem why it is failed. So public artifactory is still running. S3 profile, what it says, server encryptions, upload from slave from fail to upload files. So see, the AWS key ID you provided does not exist in your records. That is why it is failed. Okay, let me just go ahead and do some changes. Where I have to do the changes? Go to the dashboard, go to the manage Jenkins, configure system, go to the S3 profile, right? Go down, we'll have this S3 profile. Where it is? Okay, S3 profile here. Okay, now you have to give the access key and the secret key here. So when I selected, actually it has removed now. Okay, now you have to do the access key. That's good. Actually, I'll show you now where you can get it. Just go to the your AWS site and go to your IAM section. In the IAM services, you'll find all this access key and ID, right? So now I have to create a new user to get the access key and get the access key ID and all. Okay. So how many users I have? 4 users. So let's do that. I can use AWS CLI demo, or I can just, okay, let me see the roles, how many roles I have. S3 full access, S3 read access. I have lots of, okay, fine. So let's go to the users and create a new user. Okay, add user. Okay, so I can give a name as S3, give a name as S3 upload. S3 upload, one username I created. Okay, or I can give anything like S3 Ansible or whatever. Okay, so what we are going to use this user as programmatic. You know very well this in our IAM sections of AWS class, right? So I'm going to use this as programmatic ways, right? Good. I'm not going to use any consoles and all. So next, permissions. Okay, so you can use the groups, whatever is group, use like administration access. Let me give TF group as the full administration access. Now let's tag. 1 second, guys. Okay, so give a value called, okay, so now create user. Got it. Now let me save this one because this is required to do this. Let me create one more file, new file. This is the access key and the password. I can save it so that I can use it. Accept. Okay, now this access key and all I'm going to add it in this profile. Okay, so configure systems, access key, secret key. Okay, so just give the secret key, because this is one time, guys. Once you have better, you have to download the CSV file to store it. Okay, because after this class I'm going to remove this user. I don't need, because this is a recorded session and this access key and everything will be recorded now, right? So I'll delete this user. Okay, now I'm going to add this one, a secret key. Okay, done, right? Access key and secret key. Now save it. Good, saved it. Okay, so what we are going to do now, let's execute the job again and see what is happening. Build number 11, it's building. Good, see, success. Now it is up. What happened? Triggering. Okay, so what happened? It is uploaded the file with this profile. After that, it triggered the another job, another build, right? What is that? This Jenkins, because this is the downstream job, right? So let's check whether this job is now running or not. Okay, it is failed. Okay, okay, let's see, we'll troubleshoot this later. First, let's see whether it is uploaded or not successfully. So where we have to go, just go to our S3 bucket, go to our S3 bucket. Okay, here Ansible, the target folder. See, last modified January 2. This time today is uploaded the new war file. Okay, now the CIE part is totally fully completed, and it is uploaded the artifacts into the artifactory, that is our S3 bucket. Now we have to focus on the deployment part. So the deployment part is triggered, however it is failed. Let's see why it is failed. Okay, now let's go here. Good, so what is it doing? Okay, so you can see the Ansible logs over here, guys. It is just, see, the project itself, it is executing this Ansible playbook and this, and then it is using the inventory file Jenkins Ansible hosts. Okay, what it does, okay, install Java, it is failed. What it says, the Python 2 YUM module is needed for this module. If you require Python 3 support, use the DNF Ansible module instead. Okay, so now we need to twist our hosts, because what happens, if you see this system, right, it will have Python already installed. I think Python, yeah, Python default Python is 2 is there. Okay, now we have used the interpreter as Python 3. We have used the interpreter as Python 3, but it has Python 2, the default one. Okay, now let me just, okay, let me change the inventory. So let me change the inventory to, so here we had used as Ansible interpreter as Python 3. Okay, now let me just make it as Python, only Python. Okay, only Python. I commented this one and created one only Python. Let me save it. Let's build this project again. So it is building now. Let's see the logs. We'll see the Ansible logs here. See, first it is playing the wave one and then gathering the facts. Wave one, install the Java. So it is now installing Java on the target machine. Okay, so we'll see it. Let's see. It is installing, I believe. So just wait for some time. Okay, it will complete, and we can see the logs, complete logs over here. Let's see this machine whether Java is installed or not. Okay, Java is already installed. Which machine Java is there? Which version of Java? Java. Cannot create Java virtual machine. Unrecognized. I'm sorry. It's not working. Okay, so it is already installed now 1.8 underscore 292, right? So let's see. Okay, so see guys, so what happened here? It is installed Java successfully. Okay, it is installed Java successfully, and then it created tomcats and this extracted file, created symlink, right? But it is failed. See, it is failed in the Python 3. So can anybody tell me why it is failed? Okay, let me tell you. This is failed because this Boto 3, right? This Boto 3 is required Python 3 interpreter. Python 3 interpreter. But our host
Okay.
having see
Python 2.
Python
2.7. Huh.
exactly. So what we need first, as our interpreter is Python 3, Java is failing for interpreter Python 3. Java 1.8, okay, is failing for one of interpreter. Now we have to twist something to change the host file again, and we'll comment the playbook now. Okay, now let me just create it. So this is good guys, you are seeing the things how it is happening and failing where. Now if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see the complete logs, right, complete Jenkins log you can see in the, sorry, complete Ansible logs you can see in the Jenkins execution console output, right? And you can see here it is failed. Now let me fix this one, and I'll comment this Python 2 one and uncomment this. Okay, Python 3 interpreter. This Boto 3 actually works on Python 3 interpreter. Okay, now what I'm going to do now, because Java is getting failed 1.8 version, but the later version may work, but 1.8 version is failing. So I'm just going to comment this task Java, because Java is already installed here, right? Why I commented? Because it will fail again if we have the Python 3 interpreter. Okay, it will fail again. So that's why I commented. Otherwise, if you leave it as it is, no problem, because it will say Java is already installed. It will skip that play and execute the another play. Okay, so I just moved it, and let's save it. Okay, so now I change the interpreter. What I'm going to do, let's execute this, and let's see what, let's see. Okay, it's doing all these things because it is already done. It is just simply skipping it, everything, simply skipping. Now, okay, what is happened again? What it says, install Python 3. The Python 2 binding for RPM are needed for this module. If you require Python 3 support, use the DNF Ansible module instead. Good it. So it gives the DNF module to be used. To use the DNF module, you should have the DNF module exist on this server. Let's see whether the DNF module is available. DNF is not there. Okay. So what we can use, like, let DNF module is not there. That means if you see it here in our YAML file, right? We have which module? First, we are installing the Python pip 3. Okay, Python 3 pip. And what it says, instead, what it says, install Python 3 pip, it says instead of yum, use DNF. Use DNF. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. So where we have to modify, let's modify our YAML file. So let's try with this. It will not work because DNF is also itself is not exist on the machine. Okay, let me add the DNF package. This is the DNF module. I'm going to use the DNF module to execute Python 3. Let's do that again. So instead of executing this build and build again, what we can do, we can simply execute the playbook here itself, right? So we can write Ansible playbook, okay, then playbook name, right? Okay, the same thing it is doing here.
Ranjit, you are on mute if you're speaking.
Oh yeah, sorry. So what happened here,
Mhm.
as it is does not have the Python 3, right? So I separately installed Python 3 on this machine. Okay, because of that, see, Python 3 package is having the DNF. The DNF itself is not there, so I installed the Python 3 install. See, automatically I install Python 3. Now if I see the DNF will available here. Okay, DNF is not there. Now what I'm going to do, install Python 3, DNF install Python 3. Okay. Now what I have to use, Python 3 hyphen pip install DNF. So Python 3 pip itself is not there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, yum install Python 3 pip. Already installed the latest version. Okay, fine. So what it says, already installed the latest version, so we don't have to do that again. Okay, now let's execute the playbook and see what is the error we are getting now. DNF install Python 3 DNF. Okay, fine. So let's change it to yum again. Vi deploy. So DNF is not working because there are some lots of Python dependencies are there. Okay.
So Ranjit, Python 3 we cannot install with this yum module.
Yeah, we can install. See, okay,
Uh-huh.
that's a good question. Let me do that. So we can write another play here. I just install manually to check whether it is installing there or not. So what we can do here,
Uh-huh.
just let me write another play here. It's called okay, install Python 3. Okay, so this one, okay, Python 3. So I'm just going to use the yum package manager. So here I have to use Python 3. Okay, state
Mhm.
present, state present. Okay, done. So let's see and execute this play. What it says, it will say already installed. Okay, Ansible.
Okay.
Install Python 3. The Python 2 binding for RPM are needed for this model. If you require Python 3 support, use the DNF Ansible module instead. Okay, so DNF Ansible module, it is requiring to do that. Yum is not able to do the Python installation from Ansible, but manually when
From
I
install.
installed, right? Manually when I installed using yum install, it actually worked. See, where it is, yum install Python 3. But Ansible is not able to do. Instead, what we are going to use, it is suggesting us to use DNF module.
DNF. Mhm.
So let's see, change this DNF module and check whether it is able to do that or not. If not, we'll comment that for the time being. See, DNF. Okay, save it. Now execute this playbook. I think it is throwing again problem with the DNF, right? DNF, DNF. 1 second. So what we can do, one. So search for install DNF. So it is Oracle Linux 7. Okay. So it says yum install DNF. So yum package manager is not able to find install DNF, right? Yum install DNF hyphen y. No package app. So we can use
So Ranjit, that is giving some caps. Is it for caps?
it's
Yum
not
install DNF.
1 second. Um, yeah. Pip package manager also not able to install it. Okay. So what it says, install DNF, use install DNF. Sorry. This module also not available. Mm, Okay, we'll see how we can install this DNF. We can find it out here and try to install this DNF. Okay. Now let me show you before moving that. Let me show you this Ansible one. What we are going to do now. Let's comment that part. BI deploy. Now what is happening? This part is not required. Okay. Um, we're going to okay. I just commented this. Let's see. Python 3 is already there, but this peep I have some doubt also in the peep whether this peep package manager will work or not. Maybe it's having some problem with this Oracle Cloud machine. It's not having the required setups because it's a total fresh new machine, so it's having some problem.
To try with a new service provider.
Yeah. We'll see it. So it is something is trying to install the dependencies. Once. Yes. Good. It is now installed. 1 second. Just check the logs and find it out what is happening here. Meanwhile, I'll need 1 minute of time. Okay, I'm just doing one transaction. I'll come back 1 minute. Just see the logs and find out what is the problem and tell me why it is failed.
Yeah, that's nice. So Venkat, what could be the issue? Something no credentials error, no, unable to locate some credentials. Shivaram,
Yeah, Venkat. Yeah, suppose.
so what is
Dilip.
the issue? Dilip, okay.
Yeah, I'm checking that one. Most probably changes in exception or
What it says actually? Okay, guys. So failed while looking up the bucket, unable to locate the credentials. Okay. First, let's check whether bucket is having private or public one, right? So let me first check this my bucket informations first. Um, Go to this Ansible bucket. So objects can be public. Here objects can be public. Okay. Now, hmm, okay, guys, this very interesting one. Can anybody tell why that is not able to connect to the S3 bucket? What we need to do another setup? Because we are connecting from command line CLI. For AWS CLI, what we need to do? We need to
I think AWS CLI need to be installed.
exactly, and that we have to set up the AWS user that account access ID and password to access from the command line, right? So let's see, this is the machine from where we are using, right? So let's see whether AWS CLI is there or not. AWS is, okay, sorry, AWS. So what is the command to configure AWS? What is the command already we have, right?
Install AWS CLI.
Okay. So you guys forgot, I think we have to first configure the credentials, right? You know how to configure the credentials, right? Using AWS configure. So it will ask for the access key ID. So this access key, whatever is already configured in this machine, is totally different than what we created newly, right? So if you see this key ID, whatever we created newly, is totally different. It is ending 03B and this is set up as A5D. So now we have to reconfigure the AWS first on the machine. Now configured here. Now we have to give the secret key. So our secret key is here. Give the secret key. Good. So our default region, this one, so let it be there, correct? None, done. So now I set up this. That's why I'm telling guys, so just have touch on the AWS cloud, whatever we have learned so far, right? You don't know when you need this, and that time you should be at least remember all this. Okay. Now let me use this AWS S3 command. S3, okay, and then ls. See, now it is, I can able to access it and I can view the bucket. Okay, so let's play the book again. Play the Ansible one and let's see what is happening. Oops, sorry. So which path I am? Root. It is under home, CentOS, Jenkins. Okay, so I can execute here. Good. So by seeing the logs, you should be able to find it out why, what is the cause. So the problem is it was the credential issue, so we are not able to connect it. So that's why it is failed. Now, unable to locate the credential. Again, it says unable to locate the credentials. Okay, for that, let's see and use the -v option. Ansible -v. Sorry, triple V. Okay, so here we can find all the details. Failed while looking up the bucket. So what it says, the first thing, okay, local, this is not the, now failed Boto 3 version 1.20, Boto core version. See, we installed only Boto 3, but it installed Boto 3 also as well as Boto core version. So Boto core and Boto 3 versions available on this machine is this one. And what it says, bucket, Ansible infos, destination is those web are, that's fine. AWS key and target were always permission. It says as private. Permission it says as private. Okay, that's why it is not able to do that. So now what I'm going to do it here, go this Ansible and target. Let's check this object, right? Go to the permission See, it does not have the public access. It does not have the public access. That's why it is failing now. Let's quickly change it to public and let's see. Read, okay, understand it. So check the permissions here. It has read access now. Let's go to this execute without these options. Unnecessary, it is writing lots of logs. What happened? Failed with unable to locate credentials again. Get artifacts from S3 bucket. Let's check the bucket permission. Bucket permission is full there, right? Okay, so
It was public, yeah.
hmm, so here public access list. Right. Oh no, guys, what's the real problem here? Can anybody tell me? The same simple thing, guys. We are executing this on the node machine. So the node machine should have the AWS CLI installed, not on the host machine, right? Master machine. We should have AWS CLI installed here. Got it? And this config, that is why it is always telling unable to locate the credentials, unable to locate the credentials, because this is getting executed on this machine, not on this master machine, right? So we have to install the AWS CLI here. That's why. So guys, always try to focus what we are doing, right? We are executing the playbook on the node machine. The node machine should have all this installed, right? So install.
Yeah.
I'm also doing something. Okay, fine. So let me just install quickly AWS CLI. I'm installing the AWS CLI on the node machine from where we are going to execute the command. The playbook is getting executed on the node machine, right? So now I have to configure here AWS configure. Okay, so access key ID we have to provide it here only. So after giving everything, it was failing. So that's the problem here. We have to understand what we are going to achieve it. Okay. Now let me just copy this also. Good, we are getting lots of issues and we are trying to troubleshoot and successfully we'll see it. So region is AP South -1. So default format, yeah. Now we set up all this. Let's execute. Good. Now we got success. See, it is able to download it, right? So that was the problem. So first you have to see where we are going to execute on which machine. On that machine, the required softwares and tools should be installed. The AWS CLI should be installed and all these things should be set up before that. So as we did it manually, so how we could have done this? We should have do all this in the playbook instead of doing manually. We can have do this here. Let me do that. Deploy, and we can install the AWS CLI here itself, right? We can write the playbook. Now before that, another important parameter is AWS CLI. Now you are going to correlate everything, right? AWS CLI, because this is also another dependencies. AWS CLI should be installed if it is a new machine. If it is a new machine, the AWS CLI should be installed there. Let me add it here also. CLI. Okay, as this is a new machine, we need the AWS CLI should be installed. Good. Now, what we did, that's done. Let's verify the packages whether it has been gone to this server or not. Okay, so the destination, let me just go to the destination server here. It's now terminated. It's now terminated. 1 second, let me connect it back again. Basics. If I go to this path, let's see. See, this the path is there. Good. So our DevOps web.var is there already, right? So now let's see whether the Tomcat service is running or not. cd, go to this path. Okay, the Tomcat server is now it is running actually. So we can see here the file is already being copied to the web apps folder. It's being already copied to the web apps folder. One second. Okay, so it is cd. Go to this path. The machine is too slow here. The Oracle machine is too slow. What happened? Okay, guys, I think this Oracle machine is damn slow because of low configurations and all. So maybe let me check. Let me check. CPU performance is good. Not sure why is this Oracle is sleeping. No, no, check it. Okay, guys. So okay. So now let's execute the machine. Sorry. Now let's execute the job first. We'll see the complete end-to-end deployment. And this Oracle deployment, maybe this Oracle machine is not working. Maybe in our next class, I'll get another AWS machine and I'll show you end-to-end with this Ansible Vault and the programming. Okay. So before that, okay. Once we finish this one, then we'll discuss about that. Let me just execute the job. Now let's build now. Okay, so the first upstream job is success and it is triggered this one, right? Now let's go here and check. Build 8 is starting now. See, once the upstream is completed, and this is automatically started. Let's see the logs. Good. So this is also now success. See, we can see it is successfully deployed the artifacts. Now if we go to the machine here and go to the path, okay, so what is the path? See, it is now added and it has also created the project. Now let me access this server application. Okay, so how will access? Same thing, just copy this URL, go here. It will not work. One second, one second. It will not work. Why? Because this machine does not have this 8080 firewall access. We have not provided firewall access for this one. Okay, so let me check here whether we have firewall access for this machine or not. Okay, um, should explain. Stable instance versus image branches line migration. What is that? Security groups. Okay, guys, maybe we need to check it out the security group and we need to provide it. Okay, so once it is deployed successfully, now what we saw here, we can successfully build our job build our project, deployed into artifacts, and again from artifacts we got the file using the Ansible S3 module, and from there we deployed into the targeted machine. We can see in the machines we have the files being deployed successfully. Okay, due to some access issue and we are not able to access through the web browser. Maybe in our next class I'll show you in our AWS that will actually we can find it out in the easiest way to do that. Also, I'll show you how we can just, because that's Ansible S3, Ansible module vault we have not covered so far. We'll see the variables, we'll see the roles and AWS S3 vaults in our next class. Also, we'll cover the Docker from the next class itself. Okay, guys, let me stop the session here. Maybe in our next class, we'll see the complete end-to-end again with AWS Vault and roles. Okay, so